Hello, you. Reagan here from Everyday Practices Podcast. Do you cringe when you hear the word marketing? If you do, you're not alone. For so many dentists, it can be an area of frustration. From the changing regulations to constant solicitations to not knowing if what you're doing is actually working, marketing can give you the same reaction that many patients have to hearing the dental drill. That's why Chad and I have invited a special guest to this episode. Sara Hansen, a marketing consultant with Productive Dentist Academy, understands the struggle many docs face with implementing successful patient attraction and retention strategies. The reality is, marketing can be fun if you understand how to weave it through the entire patient experience. Get ready to learn the secret to activating a successful marketing strategy you can feel great about and your patients will love. Enjoy! Welcome to the Everyday Practices Podcast. I'm Reagan Robertson, and my co-host, Dr. Chad Johnson, and I are on a mission to share the stories of everyday dentists who generate extraordinary results using practical, proven methods you can take right into your own dental practice. If you're ready to elevate patient care and produce results that are anything but ordinary, buckle up and listen in.
Hey everybody, it's Chad Johnson. And do you hear the sound? Did you hear it? I'm going to do it again. Do you know what that is? That's me kicking this podcast off. And I'm trying to also get my co-host Reagan to laugh here. Reagan, how you doing today?
Every day is a good day with Chad.
That's right. And we have a PDA specialist today, Sara Hansen, here to talk about our marketing. And not only that, but my marketing, because she helps Veranda Dentistry kill it. And we're here to talk about everything marketing. So Sara, how are you today?
Hello, everyone. I'm good. Thanks, Chad.
Excellent. So our goal today was trying to look at the overall process of getting patients to say yes, but from a marketing perspective. It's not just simply, looking from the doctor's perspective of, okay, how do we get a patient to say yes? But we need to get patients in the door. And it begs the question, how do we do that? And where along the line do people drop the ball? So let me ask, where are some important pieces where people end up dropping the ball?
Yeah, I am so happy to talk about this. So I think when we think about marketing, we think about just that external attraction piece, right? And what does that look like for all those docs, which, digital advertising or social media or websites. But yes, while all that's important, there are other key components that we really need to focus on too, which is one, once they find us, once that attraction strategy has worked and they take interest in us and they call our practice, can we get them to accept an appointment? So the call conversion rate with the team really is so critical. Does your team have the tools and the skills to help answer the questions that potential patient has? Do we have options for them within the practice? And then, did they form a good enough relationship with them that they trust us to make an appointment? From there, we then have that third key component, which is once they come in for their appointment, do they accept treatment? And I think sometimes that is those missing links that we think about with marketing is it's all about that attraction strategy, but really it's not. That is one piece that is, yes, important. But what we teach our docs and what we feel like is the most important is that not only are they finding you through attraction, but that they're also carrying that all the way through the funnels and then getting to accepting treatment and becoming long-term loyal patients with you.
Right. So some people could get frustrated. Why aren't we getting phone calls? And we might be getting phone calls, but for example, it could be at 6 p.m. Have you ever done that? Like as a customer, where you're calling going, why aren't they answering? A popular one for me, I don't know why I did this for years, but I'd be calling the admissions office at the University of Iowa, to pay the bill or something like that. And I would call, let's say at 4:30 and I'm like, what the heck? Why are they not open? And you'd listen to the message and they'd be like, our offices close at 4:00. And I was like, must be nice. Now here I'm a dentist and I do the same thing. But if we only have people there from 8 to 4, are you getting phone calls at 7 a.m.? Are you getting phone calls at 6 p.m.? Are you getting people upset because you want them, like you're paying let's say online advertising, you're getting, so now you've already incurred a cost. They call, they get frustrated because they can't make a connection. And now they just call the office down the street because they're just tired of it. So you not only spent money to try and get them there, you wasted money because they're not going to come to you because it wasn't convenient. Or they make the phone call, like you said, but we're dropping the ball and you pick up the phone and it's and you're just like, is this the dental office? What? It's like, okay, this isn't going so hot. Is this where I where I want to be? And so, I mean, there's a broad spectrum from when you've first advertised to where the patient actually gets in the chair, and only then can you drop the ball at your treatment presentation, right? So, I mean, there's a whole litany of things along the line. So, you wanted to talk today about the three scenarios or the three pieces of the puzzle for marketing. Can you frame that for us?
Yeah. So, of course, again, it starts with the attraction. They have to know who you are. They have to know what you have to offer, and that's where those external pieces come in. Who are you? What is the story from your practice? How do you help patients? From there, the patient then takes that information and decides what to do with it. Chad, what we know about a lot of these patients is if you think about the new patients that have come to your practice, very few of them have come to you because they're new to the area. Most of your patients have come to you because they've had some type of, we'll use a big word, trauma, right? Either they had a bad experience, the financial options didn't work for them, whatever that is. So they're looking for somebody that they trust, somebody that can take care of them. And that's where your team is that second crucial part of how do we help? They're kind of like the ER trauma surgeons, right? First, they need to identify what their needs are. A patient is calling you because they need something. You're not cold calling them. This isn't, door-to-door salesman knocking on the door. They're calling you because they need something. So what we love to train the teams on is, hey, listen to what their needs are, listen to their trauma, what has happened to them in the past that now they're looking for a new dentist, and how do we capitalize on that? Is it that they need IV sedation? Is it that, they just lost a job and now budget is really tight? Is it that they had a bad experience with a previous dentist? Somewhere along the line, that trust has been broken and now they're trying to go somewhere else. So when we can work with the team to really train them to understand, what their role is and give them the tools, then all of a sudden that becomes very successful with call conversion for them. And then we carry that through to the third part, which is now that they're in our practice, how does the doctor's relationship or the hygienist relationship build to trust, right? So that now when you're presenting a treatment plan to them, that this patient is like, hey, I really feel like he has my best interest at heart, instead of just, well, I see your brand new boat sitting outside attached to your brand new truck. It seems like you need to make some money today, right? So it's kind of this now reversal of roles of we're almost interviewing or the patient's interviewing us to find out, hey, is there a connection? Do I trust them with the trauma that I've previously had?
Right.
So, yeah.
In two broad categories, some of the aspects that I've that any dentist really has tried focusing on is splitting it up in between internal marketing and external marketing. As far as the listener who's new to the subject, can you help kind of broadly define those?
Yeah. So external marketing, yes, is going to be more of a bigger investment strategy into what you do to get your brand and your name out there. It's your awareness. But what I try and teach teams about, and what's really important, is your internal marketing really is that foundation. And if your internal marketing, such as asking for Google reviews, internal referral programs, following up on past due continuing care and past due treatment reports, that sort of thing. When you have that solid foundation of those internal pieces, posting on social media is another great one. Then what it does, when we then layer in those external marketing pieces, it now accelerates what you're doing because you already have that core foundation of those internal pieces. There was actually a practice that I work with, and what happened is we launched a big external campaign. And because, Chad, as you know, we track everything internally. We do all the ROI trackers. I pull all the data. I want to make sure that our campaigns are successful, right?
Right.
And what we found very early on with the campaign is that they were getting a lot of calls coming into the practice. However, the team was only like a 50% call conversion rate. And so what that was telling me was like, hey, the docs are investing in this strategy that now we've got a hiccup in the system, right? The team can't get that in. So the doc at that point had two options. The option was one, either he needs to increase his investment into marketing to make up for the lack of skills that the team had to get those calls in, or the patients in, or he had to invest in his team. And I spent time with the team helping them understand, how to listen to what those patients' needs are. And the call conversion rate went up to 80%. And so I loved that because again, that's like, that's a true, opportunity of maximizing our investments into marketing. The external internal plays such a cohesive role with each other that you really can't have one without the other, right?
So you were talking about cold calls, and kind of the opposite of that would be your internal marketing. The internal marketing is when you're taking people that are already fans, and it could be literally, your Facebook fans that might not even be patients, but at least, they're a captive audience. And then also your existing patients, and having them be the announcers to, when someone on Facebook, for example, says, man, I hate going to the dentist. I wish, do any of you guys have a dentist that you like going to? And in Productive Dentist Academy, what we call raving fans, that we're wanting patients to help kind of express the good news. Like, man, I've gone to mine for 10 years. He's awesome. That's internal marketing. And you didn't really pay for it. And though you can, but that's an example where you didn't really pay for it, except indirectly everything that you did intangibly over the last few years to make that patient into a raving fan, to keep them a raving fan. So that way they will freely tell others. And so that your best dollars are internal marketing, as opposed to when we think of traditional marketing, which is external marketing of, hey, let's put up a billboard. Let's have something in the yellow pages. Let's send out mailers. Those are kind of getting closer to cold call.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we know about those internal referrals of their family and friends is that, when you ask your best friend, right, hey, who do you go to as a dentist? And they all of a sudden are like, oh man, Veranda Dentistry is the best. Dr. Chad and his team, and they start going on. Well, all of a sudden I'm listening to that and I trust my friend, right? So my level of trust with that practice is already elevated because, hey, if my friend has had a great experience, then I know this is going to be a good experience because she wants to tell me about it. So what we know is that those referrals turn into the most loyal patients. And so it really is, like you said, Dr. Chad, I mean, a lot of docs will, depending on the state that you live in, you can give, $25 gift card for referral. But I mean, the ROI on an internal referral is through the roof. It's awesome, and in return, it creates the most loyal patient. So it's a win-win.
I think when we've been tracking mine historically, and here's why. I think historically ours is close to 100 to 1 ROI on internal marketing. But the reason why is when we ask people, what made you come here? And when we find out that it was because of the internal referral dollars that we've spent, it's like $1,000, that we've put into, and that $1,000 might have $100,000 return that year on the marketing when we track it. And knowing that is important because it's just like, wow, 100 to 1, that's way bigger. And I'm still satisfied when we get 5 to 1 or 10 to 1 returns on an ROI. I mean, a 2 to 1 is still good. I mean, it's still bringing you in what you need. So when you're 100 to 1, you go, man, how are we maximizing having the associates hand out business cards? Is the team handing out referral request forms and asking, hey, I'm glad you had a great day today. Would you do us a favor and, anytime anyone is asking, just let them know that you love coming here, just stuff like that. You're planting the seed that maybe 3 years from now, their friend says, hey, I am moving to the area. Who should I go to? And you put that out there. Or that's it. I've had it with Dr. X. He's always blank. And now I want to switch. Who should I go to? And I see those things on, Facebook, because my friends and family around here, they'll tag me in it. And so like, I'll actually see it.
Yep.
So I guess I have a question for both of you, since both of you work together.
Oh, hey, Reagan, I guess I've been hogging it. How are you?
Well, I love how we went right down the Fred Joyal path of everything is marketing. It's all connected together. What do you recommend, Sara, for making it sticky? Because you get what you focus on. To say, like, it sounds good to see the success of 100 to 1. But that tells me that there's something running underneath that has to be well oiled. So what do you recommend to make this sticky so that internally the team can really, shout the benefits?
And Sara, please don't say a really good looking owner doc, because I get it. I mean, that's me, but we just don't have to go there.
Yeah. I mean, have we seen Chad's face? I mean, he just sells it by himself. He doesn't even need me.
Here it is.
Yeah, that's a great question, Reagan. So it really is that internal piece. One thing that I think we forget is that our teams are an extension of us, so what Chad believes and how he runs his practice and how he wants to practice and what his philosophy of care is really needs to be practiced by everyone in the office. They all need to believe that. And I know with so many of our docs that patient care, right? The wow experience really is top of mind for a lot of these docs. If we can focus on that internal piece, meaning, that we are treating our patients with the care and respect and the quality dentistry that we know that they deserve, then all of a sudden it's speaking for itself. With social media, I know a lot of our docs get a little bit nervous about that. Like, what do I post? How do I post? What does it sound like?
Before.
And really, it's very simple. Meaning, let your team take that piece on. How many docs have great team members that love to get on the TikTok? I mean, I'm too old for the TikTok, but that their team members love social media. They're on social media a lot. And so let your team members take it over, show a fun time at, lunch that day with the team, or, let's highlight each team member, or let's talk about patients of the month, or, other things like that. Just start very simple with just getting out there, making yourself available and that attraction started.
Go ahead.
So thank you, Chad. Well, that leads to the next question. So if you've got a doctor like Dr. Chad, who's not really shy about getting the practice out there, getting himself out there, he'll bring like a shaved ice truck into the parking lot to celebrate things. Like creativity is really easy. What do you recommend for doctors that, that this is not naturally intuitive to them? They're a little bit shy. How do they put their authentic self out there?
No, I think the team can be a big asset to them, right? But the other thing is that it's interesting because you have, patients that, yes, Chad's are right. We have a great time. But not all patients, are always looking for that Chad, right? They're looking for different docs. And really at the end of the day, what patients are looking for and where they make that connection is that trust. So regardless of the doc's personality, or regardless of if he puts himself out there or not, if they feel a connection, they need to hear the voice. They need to hear the stories that are coming from the practice, because that ultimately, if you can get the stories out of how that doc has changed lives or helped patients in need or whatever that is, then really it's creating the voice. And that's what people are looking for. Yes, a lot of things that we do with Chad are really fun, but ultimately, where that connection comes from is those people saying, hey, I know that doc can help me. I trust him. I know he's helped my friends and family. I've heard that he does X, Y, Z, right? And that's where that connection can be made. So really, it doesn't have to be a big, elaborate event. It really can just be that authentic story that's coming out of how they change lives.
I've heard an interesting take on it before. Normally, what you would do is have your team come in and ask the patient, hey, do you mind if I got a picture with you and the doctor? But it was a different take on it. And I wish I could remember where I heard it from, where they said, hey, what you should do is the team member comes in and says, hey, doc, do you mind if I were to take a picture with you and this patient? And you're actually asking the doctor for permission to do it, assuming what it does is it assumes that the patient was okay taking the picture. Normally we're asking the patient, assuming that it's okay with the doctor. But if you flip it around, that you're actually making it seem like it's some kind of, I don't know, mini reward, that it's like, oh yeah, I mean, why not? That you're taking the picture with the doctor. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of a cool flip. And I was like, I really like that. What's your thought on that little nugget?
Yeah, I think anything that can really elevate the relationship part of it, because really that's what you're talking about, is that relationship with the patient. Chad, I know you and I've talked about in the past about even you had the great idea of having like photos scrolling through like the computer monitors as they're waiting for exams
on the screensaver,
or things like that. Yeah, on the screensaver. Again, it's, you're forming that connection with them. So I think, learning a little bit more about the docs and the team members without necessarily having to be, in their face about it. Just those subtle things where they're like, oh, hey, I saw Chad, riding his bike. Hey, Dr. Chad, are you a cyclist? Tell me about that, So again, there's all these little ways to really bring out those stories, not only just about dentistry, but about who they are and about who the team is as well.
Yep. Agreed. So the three things that we were kind of hoping to, we've already talked about a couple of them, the internal marketing, and obviously everyone knows external marketing. That's what they think of with marketing. And we've kind of touched on, case acceptance. And so when you're looking at, what do most doctors think of when they hear marketing? I mean, just in general.
Yeah, well, the phrase that I get most often when I say, hey, doc, what's your goal? Usually they say, I just want more new patients. I just want more new patients, right? So it's very limited in what their goal is. So what I do is I try and take a little deeper dive, like, okay, talk to me about what that means for you. Are we really trying to target certain things? Are you really wanting to target implants? Are you really wanting to target just overall new patients? What does that goal look like? And then the other conversation I really like to have with them too is, who are we targeting, but also what have you done in the past? Of course, we know that our patients sometimes go through, bad experience, but so have our docs. I am sure that there are many docs on this podcast that are listening that have had bad experiences with marketing. And so here at PDA, we actually approach things very differently. What we do is we do a lot of deep discovery, as you know, Chad. We try and figure out what's going to work. And then what we do too is we track everything through an ROI tracker. I pull all the analytics. Chad knows all of this. We meet all the time about how his campaigns are performing because we want to know not every campaign is going to work as successful as another. For example, the internal marketing campaign is hugely successful. And, where another campaign may still produce a great ROI, but it may not be, as successful, right? So, and those are all things that we like to pull and look at before we start working with the doc so that it doesn't become a bad experience for them. Sometimes I think that, marketing is, I believe Reagan said this, and I absolutely love this quote, but Reagan said, marketing is only a piece, but yet, marketing really is all of it, right? Reagan? You said that. I love that because it is, and marketing can be just a small piece of the puzzle that the docs look at and really want to be focused on. But what we know is that it really is a strategy that involves the entire team, the doc, myself. It becomes such a big puzzle. We don't just want to focus on one little piece to that puzzle. There really is so much that goes into that.
Oh, Sarah, I love that. If I'm a doctor sitting here, what puzzle pieces am I in danger of missing? What puzzle pieces do a lot of docs miss?
They miss that story part. They miss that really authentic part of why they do what they do. Again, there's a story that belongs to dentistry, right? There's a connection that needs to be made because these patients are investing a lot within their health And, dentistry is expensive. It can be expensive. And so what we want to do is create the story of why you trust me, why I'm here to help you. I'm a healthcare provider because I care about you, and here's how I've changed other people's lives. And so I think sometimes we get so caught up in getting our brand out there. But what we like to do is peel that layer back. What is your brand saying about you? What is it that you want patients to know about you?
And I honestly think a lot of people sabotage their own brand when they advertise, for example, unless this is your thing, but we do cleanings. We clean your teeth. Like we like you having clean teeth. And it's like, that's great and all. But what's funny is it reminds me of that girl in Napoleon Dynamite that went door to door and at the beginning of the movie, and she goes up to the door and she's like, would you like a bracelet? Sure, we all do. And it's just like, this is just like that's a cold call miss. And it's just like, why did I even answer the door? Like, what are you even here for? And it's just like, well, you happen to be the next house I was knocking on, and I was just hoping that you would need a bracelet. And it's or whatever it was, hair ties or nails, or it was something kind of corny. I don't even remember. And it was a great movie, right? But the point of that was almost just like this. It's a great marketing example where it's just like, what are we trying to tell people when it's like, hey, you need to come in and get your teeth cleaned? It's just like, yeah, that's great and all, but like, is that what you're about? And sure enough, that's what people think you're about. And if you say, it's time to use up your insurance money, it's just like, because that's what we're looking for. And listen, if that's what we need, like as a point, fine. But is that what you're like, is that your only message to people throughout the year is, we do cleanings and get in for your cleaning. Would you like to have cleaner teeth? And, it's just blah. I mean, then they just think, well, I mean, yeah, I guess, it's just like, I mean, I don't think about, do I need my tires filled up? And it's like, I probably do, but I don't have time for that, And if someone said, well, how full are your tires? I don't know, and it's probably less than ideal, but I don't care. Like, it's just, life will go on with less than ideal tire pressure. And I'm sure you want me to come in and get my tire pressure checked, but I don't have time for that. Right. That's what people are thinking when they hear of our dumb marketing, that we sabotage ourselves with what exactly is our message. No, I said Chad, it, Reagan. I said it.
He's getting feisty today. No, Chad, but you're exactly right. So what's interesting about that is that how many times have we heard docs in the industry like get really frustrated because patients will cancel, and the verbiage they use is, oh, well, it's just a cleaning. And the doctors get frustrated because they're like, but what they fail to realize is that, but that's how the patient feels, is that, oh, well, it's just a cleaning. Like, it's okay. It's no big deal. Like, I do it twice a year. We don't place the value on the things that really are important. Cleanings, yes, they are important, right? It's how we do a lot of preventative measures. However, when we treat it as like, oh, we'll get in by Wednesday for your $59 whatever, we're now taking the value of the importance of what that is. And I do love a call to action, don't get me wrong, but I also think there's a way that we can be strategic with a call to action that still creates the value of the dental treatments that we want to portray to all those patients coming in. When we devalue it, then the patients then call and cancel their appointment, and the verbiage they say every time is, well, it's just a cleaning. I'll call back later when my schedule's a little more open. They don't see the value in it. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Something that I realized when I was going from PPO to fee for service was that when I would get a 2-to-1 return on the investment, so our ROI was 2-to-1 for marketing. It had to be a minimum of 2-to-1 just because of the insurance write-off. So what I thought was cool was, and the reason why is because you weren't collecting everything that you were producing. So if you're looking at your ROI as far as production based off of it, that might be a pie in the sky number. And you need to also factor in, it's like, you're not necessarily collecting on all that production. So if your collection production ratio is 60%, then it's like, well, then you really needed it. Let's say it's 50% just for easy math. Then it has to be 2-to-1 just to break even. But what's cool is, after having switched to fee for service, is it allowed for me to get a 2-to-1 that actually was beneficial at that point, because my collection and production ratio are the same. then I can actually get a 1-to-1 and it's still profitable, right? So it's just, I just thought I'd throw that out there. It's important for people to think about, are they getting the ROI that they should? And are they tracking that based off of production or collection? And if you're probably basing it off of production, you should look at what your collection ratio is with production and factor that into what is your bare minimum ROI that you need it to be.
Yep. You're exactly right. Yep.
That to me, Chad, I think sits where a lot of the fear and uncertainty and doubt creeps in, because you're really not looking at the numbers. So there's the emotional hook, what you're actually saying in the market, how you're presenting yourself in the market. And then there's the actual reality of knowing, and it can be scary kind of in between that. Now, Sara, I've heard that you are going to be sharing your message live on stage coming up in October. Yeah. Speaking of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, can you tell us about that?
Yes, I am. I will be at the Smiles at Sea event in Florida in October. It's going to be an awesome event. We actually will have an opportunity you can tune in virtually, or you can be in attendance. So there's several different options, if they need CE, but I will be focusing on marketing the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And some of the things that we did talk about today are some of the things that I would love to just talk more about within the industry, because I think it is, something that docs very much relay to me that, hey, I'm not I trust you, but I'm a little bit scared about this. How can you help me, or how can we make this a little bit better? So I do think it is much needed. And I'm excited to share that with many docs. So.
Yeah. And then naturally too, people, if they want to go deeper into discussing how you might be able to help them, the productivity workshop in September, that's just a shameless plug,
Yep. In September, I'll be there too, talking about marketing. It's my favorite subject. But yeah, we do offer through PDA, which is awesome, a lot of online events too. We know sometimes it is a little tricky with travel to leave the practice for a few days, but that's what's great about the virtual world, right? So we do have a lot of different opportunities for docs to still get, some more knowledge and some more tools to put in their tool belt.
Well, thank you, Sara, for your time today, and Chad, your insights as well, and giving people a peek behind your marketing curtain. Sara, if we can leave doctors with one piece of advice, what do you wish all doctors knew about marketing that would make their lives easier?
Marketing is fun. Let go a little bit. Just let the true you show, and you will always be successful with that. So that would be my advice.
That's a great answer. I love that answer. Yeah. That surprised me too. I like it. Yeah.
Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. And Sara, thanks for joining us. And everyone is going to be signing up right now when they hear it to listen to you in October, and maybe even bring their team in September to the workshop. So if there's room.
Yes. We have 12 seats. Yeah, 12 seats left, and the hotel room block is sold out, I just heard. So we just had to secure new hotel space. So maybe for those who've already got their ticket, congratulations. You will hear Sara live and in person this coming September.
That's right. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and we look forward to having you join us and on our next podcast of Everyday Practices. Reagan, thanks as well.
Thank you, Chadwick.
If you're anything like Dr. Chad Johnson and I, it's been far too long since we've got to laugh with our dental friends in person. That's why PDA is coming back and better than ever with our first live event in Texas. PDA co-founders Dr. Bruce Baird and Victoria Peterson welcome you home as we open our doors for 3 spectacular days of CE and a whole lot of fun with friends. This September 16th to 18th at the Westin Convention Center in Las Colinas, you can expect a program ready to give you all the elements of a productive practice. You and your team will learn how to comprehensively diagnose and treatment plan, how to schedule to increase productivity, not chair time, how to get your team aligned with your standard of care and co-diagnosing for a smooth patient experience, and how to seamlessly incorporate new technology and services. This year, we're also bringing in new special breakout sessions included in your tuition. dental sleep medicine with Sleep Group Solutions, authentic marketing strategy to attract your ideal patients, advanced clinical hygiene including oral systemic connection, and personal empowerment with Dentistry's Got Talent 2021 champion Dr. Jeff Buski. With COVID precautions still in place, attendance is limited, and we have no doubt we will sell out fast. If you're ready to get out and know now's the time, head on over to productivedentist.com/workshop to secure your seat. We can't wait to see you in Texas.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Everyday Practices Podcast. Chad and I are here every week thanks to our community of listeners just like you, and we'd love your help. It would mean the world if you can help spread the word by sharing this episode with a fellow dentist and leave us a review on iTunes or Spotify. Do you have an extraordinary story you'd like to share or feedback on how we can make this podcast even more awesome? Drop us an email at podcast@productivedentist.com. And don't forget to check out our other podcasts from Productive Dentist Academy at productivedentist.com/podcasts. See you next week.